Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We're going to start off the show just going straight off the bat, talking about the Golden State Warriors knocking off the Houston Rockets last night. The Rockets climbing back into this series, 3-1 down, forcing a Game 7 on Friday night, and now we're here. It was an unbelievable Game 7 last night. The Warriors pulling away late. The play of Buddy Hield and Draymond Green definitely solidified this one for the Golden State Warriors. So major props to them as they move on to face the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round. From there, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers knocking off the Denver Nuggets in what was another phenomenal game. There was a little bit more of a blowout, but this series was phenomenal from start to finish. Game 1 through Game 7. We all remember the Game 4 putback dunk from Aaron Gordon. We're going to revisit that. And we're going to recap what this series was as a whole, because this truly was one of the best NBA playoff series we've seen in a long time, for years, at least since, I would say, since 2019. We'll get into that, though, a little bit later in the show. We're also going to discuss a little bit about Russell Westbrook, first taking out the Los Angeles Clippers, one of his former teams, and now he's going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that he has a lot of history with. We're gonna revisit that. We're gonna preview that series between the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder a little bit, and give a little bit of a pre-playoff preview. That Game 1 kicks off later tonight. And to close out the show, we're just going to talk a little bit about the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics. Do the New York Knicks have a chance against the Celtics in this series? How much does Jaylen Brunson's injury play in this series? How much does Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's injuries play in this series? What are the keys for both of these teams? And yeah, do the Knicks really have a chance in this? We'll talk a little bit. We'll preview that series as we go on into the show. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But getting right into it here, we have the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets ousted last night. They were hot going into that Game 7, coming back from 3-1 down, blowing out the Warriors in Game 5, pretty decisively as well in Game 6, pulling away pretty well in the fourth quarter specifically of Game 6. And then, of course, last night, Game 7, it was all the Buddy Hield, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler show. Playoff Jimmy was out and about last night, and nobody could stop him. Plain and simple. Buddy Hield going off for 33 points. Jimmy Butler with 20. Steph Curry as well with another more of a quieter game offensively, it felt like. But once you go back into the box score, he had a great all-around game. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Just leading this team, pretty much. Putting this team on his back, leading this team to the promised land, being a leader, a great leader in general. He had a phenomenal game. So major props to him as he continues to grow his legacy as a future Hall of Famer. Going 4 of 10 from 3-point range, with the defense, with his injury on his right hand, with his right thumb on a shooting hand, being able to play through that. With players, I wouldn't say that players are intentionally trying to hurt him, but you know what players are trying to do: swiping at the right hand, trying to bump that thumb as much as possible, just trying to make Steph Curry as uncomfortable as possible. That's what Dillon Brooks, Amen Thompson, and the rest of the Houston Rockets team were looking to do all series long in this one. But yeah, Buddy Hield was the star of the show in this one. Had a first quarter buzzer beater, 12 of 15 from the field, 9 of 11 from 3-point range. He was smoking hot all night long. And he was a big reason why the Warriors were able to shut down that Houston Rockets run in the fourth quarter. But yeah, it was a phenomenal game start to finish. The Warriors closed it out. The Rockets tried to make a push in the second half, late in that second half, but the Warriors experience showed out in this one. I had a feeling that it was going to be the deciding factor in this series. The Rockets had a much better defense than the Warriors. The Warriors had a slightly, I mean, as in terms of a team based, I thought the Warriors were just a little bit better than the Rockets. They were much more top heavy, but the Rockets offense in general was much deeper than the Warriors was off on paper. Um, but yeah, and the Warriors being able to turn around, it was their experience at the end of the day that guided them to this win in Game 7, as well as the series outcome as well. But phenomenal game, start to finish, between these two teams, and now the Warriors look on to face the Minnesota Timberwolves in what will be another marquee matchup, a matchup that even Anthony Edwards has talked about many times before. Has been hinting at it, has been saying, I want the Warriors. I've been looking forward to facing this Warriors team. Anthony Edwards will be ready for Steph Curry. And this Minnesota Timberwolves team is looking to continue their looking to hold their title of legend killers, going through LeBron James this year, going through Nikola Jokic last year, going through Kevin Durant last year. They just continue to shock the odd. They continue to shock the world. Nobody expected them to beat many. The Lakers were simply favorites to win the NBA championship this year, and to go from that to a first round exit due to this Minnesota Timberwolves team. They're going to be under the microscope in this second round, because is that going to look more about the Lakers, or is it going to be more about the Minnesota Timberwolves with how well they've played down the stretch in this season? But yeah, it is going to be a classic duel between Anthony Edwards and Steph Curry, and what's going to be an unbelievable matchup in the second round. That series kicks off tomorrow, and I'll have more of a preview of that later on. But yeah, in this series, of course, going back to the first round, it was simply the shooting of the Golden State Warriors that just outweighed the Rockets. The Rockets' offense was much more stagnant through this series. Outside of Game 2 and Game 5, I'd say. Game 6, I'd say the Warriors kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. They still had a great game. But I thought the Warriors, with their style, specifically with them using what I like to call the hack of Steven Adams, the way they were using the hack-a-shack method on Steven Adams in that second half. Steven Adams going 9 of 16 from the free throw line in Game 6. A crazy stat line. When I tell you, in the fourth quarter, between midway through the third quarter throughout the fourth quarter, anytime Steven Adams touched the ball, even if Steven Adams wasn't touching the ball, when the Rockets got into the bonus, whenever the ball was inbounded, just hack Steven Adams, foul him. That was the Warriors' strategy, and they tried to use it. It did not end up working out for them as they lost this game, but it was a big deal. A big part of that one was the Warriors' offense was simply stagnant. Midway through the fourth quarter, they only held 5 points. Like, they were not having a great game offensively, and it proved through and through in that one. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about, outside of Game 2 and Game 5, where the Rockets blew out the Warriors and they shot unbelievably, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks really led these two offenses. Jalen Green, obviously we know Jalen Green went off for 38 points in Game 2. In Game 5, only having 11 points, but those were 11 big points, especially in the first quarter. He knocked down a couple massive threes that got it going early for the Rockets. That really kind of put this game away early on. But yeah, the Warriors' offense just simply being the difference in this one. The Rockets' defense trying to hold strong, trying to be a difference maker. But in the end, it was always going to be the experience of the Warriors. When the game slows down and you need to go get a bucket, it comes down to your star players. And it came down to Jimmy Butler. It came down to Steph Curry. And on the other side, it came down to Fred VanVleet as well. But you can't do it all by yourself out there. VanVleet did the best he could, finishing with 17 points. Amen Thompson was the leader of the show last night with 24 points. Alperen Sengun was a massive factor all series long. They were just feeding Alperen Sengun in the first half of this game as well, finishing with 21 points, 14 rebounds. It's going to be, we'll have more to discuss about that part, with that aspect going into the Minnesota Timberwolves series. How is this Golden State Warriors team going to deal with the size of the Minnesota Timberwolves? If Alperen Sengun is going to go off for almost a double-double every single game, what are we to expect when Rudy Gobert shows up to town? What are we to expect when Julius Randle shows up to town? This team, it's going to be the talent versus the grit and grind of the Minnesota Timberwolves. The talent of the Golden State Warriors with their shooting of Steph Curry, the playmaking of Jimmy Butler. Overall, I don't know how this game is going to go. I think it's going to be must watch every game. We'll have a little bit more to talk about that, but with how good the Denver Nuggets Clippers series it was, with how they have the title of best series of the first round, there's a reason that says first round at the end of there, because this Warriors Timberwolves series, buckle up. Get your popcorn ready. Get your seatbelts in. Strap in. Get the TV on max volume, because this series is going to be must-watch TV. This series is going to be unbelievable from start to finish. Game 1, I predicted to go 7 games. Whoever wins this series in 7 games, part of me wants to lean with the Timberwolves just because of their size and their offense can match with their defensive tenacity as well. Their offense, they have similar defenses to the Houston Rockets in terms of skill, but I think their offense is levels ahead of the Rockets. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Warriors are going to be able to deal with everything in this series. But yeah, that's it. Warriors win Game 7. They look to face the Timberwolves in Game 1 later tomorrow night. I'll have more of a preview of that series tomorrow as well. But yeah, I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears over to the Clippers-Nuggets series. Obviously, that was the other Game 7 over the weekend, and the Clippers pretty much got dismantled. I'm going to discuss how the Nuggets did it. One player specifically who's been kind of getting on the heated side of things, not on the heated side of things, but it's been taking a lot of heat throughout the regular season, took out his former team in the first round, and we'll discuss it later, but we'll go up against his first, a fan favorite will go up against his former team in the second round as well. I don't know what I'm describing. We'll discuss more about that later in the show, but for now, next segment, I'm going to discuss Clippers Nuggets Game 7. Take a short break. This is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown. Get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. Some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Denver Nuggets blowing out the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 7. Honestly, a little bit of a bittersweet end to this series. We knew it was going to end in some way, but props to the Denver Nuggets. We're going to discuss the keys to their win, how they pulled it off. A major factor in this series that has been pulling for them all series long, has been a deciding factor and continued to show itself in this game. I've talked about it on this show. And then we're also going to take a look at the Clippers, how this affects Kawhi Leonard, how this affects James Harden, as well as some of the other players as well for this team. Because this was an unfortunate outcome to what was honestly, I seriously mean it when I say this was the best series of the first round by far. It was an unbelievable series, and it's just unfortunate to see it end because nobody wanted this series to end. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And I've said it before, you guys are a big part of what we do here. Please let us know what you guys want to hear more of. If you guys have any questions while I'm talking, please do not shy away from going to the chat and just let us know, because it makes this show a little bit more interactive, and yeah, you guys get your takes heard as well. So anything is great. Everything and anything is greatly appreciated as always. But getting right back into the show here, we had 2 Game 7s. We covered one of them last night. Another one of them happened on Saturday night. But this was, unfortunately, not what we expected it to be. I thought we were in for a instant classic of a Game 7. A Game 7 to recap what was an unbelievable series, start to finish, top to top down. And I wouldn't say that it wasn't an unbelievable series. It absolutely was. But it absolutely also was, unfortunately, just not the finish that we expected. The Denver Nuggets taking out the Los Angeles Clippers 120-101. That finish does not even explain how bad the Clippers were down in this game. The Nuggets went on a 35-19 third quarter. Just let that sink for a second. That's also that's in aftermath of a 37-21 second quarter, also in favor of the Nuggets. So you go from a 14-point disparity to a 16-point disparity like that. And if I think about that, quick maths, that's a 30-point lead going into the fourth quarter. The Nuggets had this game by the neck. They took control of this game early, especially the Clippers held the lead after the first quarter. But after that second quarter, after that third quarter, this game was pretty much over, unfortunately. Aaron Gordon, we knew it was coming. I said it was overdue. Aaron Gordon with the 22-point game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. We were looking for the Aaron Gordon shooting game. He went 0 for 3 from three-point range, but 9 of 16 from the field. Continuing to play well in big moments, continuing to be a X factor in this series. And just overall taking the pressure off Nikola Jokic. They're going to need him to continue playing at a high level, especially with the Oklahoma City Thunder on their doorstep in the second round. Also, another player that has been getting a lot of heat in this series, and honestly a lot of heat over these last few years or so, as a player that's kind of been falling off a cliff, has not been playing at the same level. This year has had multiple, what do I want to call this? Looney Tunes moments, Shaq'd in a fool moments, whatever you want to call it, mess ups. Russell Westbrook deserves all the credit in the world, because for a player that has been getting heat left and right for missing layups, getting uncalled for fouls, playing extra physical, playing with a big mouth, to walk into Los Angeles. Russell Westbrook finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. Do you know how crazy that is for a six-man? For a guy that comes off the bench. A Russell Westbrook that a lot of people said, oh, this is going to be his last year in Denver. That he's going to probably retire after this year. After he had a dud year in Los Angeles with the Lakers. He had a little bit of a resurgence with the Clippers, but the Clippers ran him out of town. The Denver Nuggets decide to bring him in, take a shot on him, give him an opportunity, roll the dice on him, bring him off the bench with Jamal Murray as the starter, bring him off the bench to lead the second unit. And he has played nothing but phenomenal basketball all season long. In this series, honestly, not even for whatever reason, because when you have Jokic and Jamal Murray on the floor at the same time, it's borderline impossible to guard. So the Clippers kind of rolled the dice, doubling one of them. They were giving Russell Westbrook the open three all series long. In Game 5, he went off for 16 points in the first half, finished with 21. Game 6, he had a little bit of a quieter game. Game 7, he continued to show out. 5 of 9 from the field. 2 for 4 from three-point range. Efficient shooting night, 50% from the field. 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Just a phenomenal... For a guy that has gotten so much heat all season long. To play the way he has been just nothing short of phenomenal. As an NBA fan that has watched him play for years, since his time with the Oklahoma City Thunder, since his time with the Houston Rockets. I remember his days with the Lakers. The Lakers ran him out of town. The Clippers, he had a little bit of a resurgence. But to go up against his former team, to take out his former team in the first round, to prove his worth with the Denver Nuggets, to prove why he deserves a role with Dave Adelman's team. There was I'm going to touch on this quickly. There was a little bit of noise that Mike Malone could have been fired because he got a little bit too close, quote unquote, with Russell Westbrook, giving him too many opportunities, giving him too many second chances. People say that was a big reason why Mike Malone was fired. And for Russell Westbrook to turn around and to play like this, not only prove that Mike Malone was right to give him an opportunity to roll the dice on him, but now to prove that he deserves a spot in David Adelman's lineup, starting lineup. Or not starting lineup, but in his rotations. Russell Westbrook is making an impact for this Nuggets team, and if they win the NBA championship, he will have his fingerprints on this team, and he will be a major reason why this team went so far. Because for a team that has been called out for not having a whole lot of depth outside of their starting lineup, outside of their big three, with Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., if you want to throw Aaron Gordon in there, Christian Braun's been stepping up, but outside of those guys, yeah, you hear Russell Westbrook's too old. You hear Jalen Pickett is the next starting sixth man of the year, should get more minutes from Russell Westbrook. Phenomenal game from Russell Westbrook. Phenomenal series, and I hope we're looking forward to him. Looking forward to him playing much better as the second round quickly approaches. If we want to switch gears over to the other side really quick, this hurts. This really does hurt. Because the Clippers, for Kawhi Leonard, who has heard noise left and right, for James Harden, who has heard noise left and right, who's gotten torn up by the media, saying that he's not good, saying that he shouldn't be in the starting lineup anymore, saying that people calling him out to retire, people calling Kawhi Leonard out to retire, bringing Ty Lue in this offseason, saying that bringing him in to be the next big coach for this team, to pool all their resources together, and to have a Game 7 the way they had. James Harden will not be remembered for his Game 1 performance. James Harden will not be remembered for his 28-point Game 6 performance. James Harden will not be remembered this season for how great of a season he had this year. James Harden is one of the best. James Harden should have been in the running for comeback player of the year. This is the best James Harden we've seen since the days of 2019 when he was playing with the Houston Rockets. And I stand by that. Seriously. They're not going to remember him for his performances. They will not remember him for Game 6 or any of those other performances that I mentioned. They will remember him as the player that choked in Game 7 against the Boston Celtics with 9 points in a Game 7, blowing a 3-2 lead with the Philadelphia 76ers. They will remember him for his days in Houston when they blew not one, but 2 Game 7s against one of them which with Chris Paul on the team, when they blew a Game 7 against Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors back in the day, the super team Golden State Warriors, where he only had 10 points in that Game 7. And then last night, or 2 nights ago, finishing with 7 points and 13 assists. Okay, cool. You became more of a facilitator. Star players are the big reason why Game 7s sway the way they do. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic showed up. Russell Westbrook showed up. Aaron Gordon, whether you want to call him a star player, an X factor, whatever you want to call him, he showed up. Kawhi Leonard showed up for you. And you go for 7 points. It's unfortunate. It's sad to see because this Clippers team had a lot of promise, was getting hot at the right time, I think if they went up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they might have a better chance than the Denver Nuggets just because of how they match up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But nothing matters now. James Harden, 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4, only got 2 free throws up. 2 turnovers. That's what people are going to remember when they think James Harden this year. And that's what James Harden has continued to label himself. The Game 7 choker. The playoff choker. Playoff James Harden. He's going to choke. Don't trust. You can't trust the beard. I tried to vouch for him. There were so many people that I heard that were saying that. I tried to vouch for him, saying that this is a better James Harden. James Harden finished with 28 points in Game 6. He's played a phenomenal series start to finish. He's had a resurgence of a season. He played like an all-star this year. And then Game 7 happens. And then you have Ivica Zubac, who's continued to play as a top 5 center. You have Kawhi Leonard that's continuing to resurge himself. You still have Norman Powell. You still have Bogdan Bogdanovic, who stepped up this series. You still have, of course, Ty Lue. Do the Clippers bring this team back for another year? I don't know. I got to look deeper into the contract. I don't know who's going up for free agency, so I don't know how that's all going to go. And, of course, I don't know what Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, is going to do. Is he going to look to trade Kawhi Leonard? Because especially this is 5 years now, and they haven't made it past the first round. They made it past the first round. No, they made it to the conference finals 1 year. What am I saying? But what will Steve Ballmer look to do is the question. That's the $1 million question right there. But yeah, the Nuggets finishing out this series, they will go up against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round. And I'll have a little bit of a preview for that series later on in the show as Game 1 of that series kicks off later tonight. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. They had Game 1 of their series, Game 1 of the second round kicking off last night between the Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. And we'll discuss the keys to that game, how the Pacers stole Game 1 in Cleveland. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Indiana Pacers Cleveland Cavaliers series, a series that I honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, this is a series I had a feeling was on a collision course when this playoff bracket was announced, and it's a series I've had circled on my board all playoffs long. I was hoping for this because these two teams match up so well against each other, and with the Cleveland Cavaliers as favorites with the Boston Celtics to win the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers going to the Eastern Conference last year, being my dark horse to win the Eastern Conference this year. If I had to pick somebody outside of Cleveland and Boston, I thought it was going to be Indiana. And if last night was a sneak peek into this series, we have a long series ahead of us because it's going to be a phenomenal series. Andrew Nembhard and Tyrese Halliburton shining in this one. The Cleveland Cavaliers really tried to make a pushback. The Pacers jumping out to an early lead. Just overall taking control of the game early 10-point lead, taking a 6-point lead into the halftime, and then clawing their way back, making it a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. Cleveland Cavaliers made this a game. They did not shy away from the moment. They were in the thick of it all game long. But it was the play of Tyrese Halliburton. It was the play of Andrew Nembhard. It was the play of Pascal Siakam. It was the play of Aaron Nesmith. The depth of the Indiana Pacers is something that a lot of teams cannot match up with. They simply can't. You need to play to put into perspective how good this Pacers team is. You have 6, 7, 8 guys, at least 9 guys on this team that can go off for 10-plus points whenever they want. In this game, there was 6 of them. In this game, there were 2 20-point scorers. In this game, there were 2 players with double-doubles. Halliburton with 13 assists, Miles Turner with 11 rebounds. This is a Pacers squad that has not only been underrated, they have a budding superstar, at least a star, if not a growing superstar, with how many game winners this guy has had in the playoffs over the last 2 years. Tyrese Halliburton is a growing superstar in this league. A player that's, quote, overrated by his NBA peers in an anonymous survey, gets voted as the most overrated player in the NBA. Heinous. There are not a lot of things that I call heinous about the NBA, but that was a heinous moment. Because that was a moment where Tyrese Halliburton looked at the league and said, okay, I'm going to take this personally. And the rest of the Eastern Conference was screwed after that. Let's be honest. Because of how Tyrese Halliburton has been one of the best players in the NBA. One of the best playoff performers. A player that has been labeled he's a facilitator, absolutely. He continues to grow with that title. Double-digit assists. He has double-digit assists almost every game. And I believe he's averaging 10-plus assists in the regular season. But when the offense rolls, when the playoffs rolls around and his offense rolls around, can complement his passing skill, Tyrese Halliburton becomes a different animal. He goes from a one-dimensional pass-first kind of guy, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson-esque kind of guy, to more of a Damian Lillard. He's very Damian Lillard-esque with how he's able to shoot the ball. I don't know who else to compare Damian these days. Like, if I had to compare Damian Lillard to somebody in today's day, it'd probably be Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton may not have the 40, 50-point games, but in terms of clutch moments, in terms of how he, under pressure, Tyrese Halliburton hit a step-back three with under 5 minutes to play when the Cleveland Cavaliers held a 1-point lead. Andrew Nembhard, his running mate, is very CJ McCollum-esque. Pascal Siakam is very Yusuf Nurkic-esque. And the Pacers are probably better than the Trailblazers of years ago because of how deep they are. When you have not Miles Turner on the team at the same time, you have Aaron Nesmith, you have Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. You have a group full of guys that not only are incredibly young, you have an NBA champion in Pascal Siakam. You have a young core that has continued to grow around one another. Went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Continued to grow with the same team this year. Maybe not the same team, but a similar team. And is continuing to play at a high level. This is a team that has been underrated all playoffs long. And the Cleveland Cavaliers better have their shooting ready to go. Because if they cannot shoot the ball, if Darius Garland cannot get his shot going, is Darius Garland hurt? I didn't even know that. I apologize. This is brand new news to me. I did not know Darius Garland did not play in game 1. That's probably played. Okay, that did not. Okay, this completely changes everything. Why did I not know this? I'm sorry. This is a big oopsie on my part. This is not a moment that usually happens to me very often. Darius Garland not playing in game 1 definitely played a role in this. If Darius Garland is not healthy, I think that I don't know if the Cavs can beat the Pacers without Darius Garland. Because if you try and lean on Ty Jerome way too much, who are you going to lean on? Ty Jerome, Max Strus, Stephen Merrill, or Sam Merrill, not Stephen, Dean Wade. Like, they have a good group. But Darius Garland is an all-star player. He's an incredibly young talent. And as a running mate with Donovan Mitchell, this team is one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. That's why they have that label. Because Donovan Mitchell can go off for 30 points whenever he wants. Darius Garland can go off for 30 points whenever he wants. The two players just play incredibly well off of one another, complement each other very well. Then you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, of course. But even though Mobley did finish with a double-double, still finished with 20 points, 10 rebounds in this one, it's going to be difficult to get both of these guys going when you have Siakam and Miles Turner in the paint together most of the time, especially late in the game. The Cleveland Cavaliers were absolutely bullying the Miami Heat on the offensive glass in the first round because they were able to go tag team with Mobley and Allen, go tag team on Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo cannot guard two of these guys at the same time. I don't think anybody could. I really don't think anybody could. So, but it's going to be interesting to see how Cleveland is going, because Pacers are going to be able to match up against them in that aspect. But the health of Darius Garland is going to be something that we're going to need to watch. I will be playing a close eye on it, absolutely, just because of how vital Garland is to this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Without Garland, I'd say the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to go home in 6 games. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think the playmaking, the shooting of the Pacers is equivalent to the Cleveland Cavaliers with Garland. Without Garland, the Pacers are better. They're deeper. They have more reliable guys. They have more experience playing in the playoffs. As much as Donovan Mitchell is a great player, as much as I loved Evan Mobley and Jared Allen for this team, I think they also have a bunch of young guys with Ty Jerome, with Sam Merrill. And you're comparing a Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill to a Benedict Mathurin, an Aaron Nesmith. I don't know if I'll throw him in there, but you could even throw in a Andrew Nemhard against one of these guys. Who are you picking, Nemhard or any of those guys? I just think the Pacers are on another level right now. I think the Cavs are still great. The Cavs are still great. They're still one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. This is still going to be a competitive series, but without Garland, this Cleveland Cavaliers team could be cooked. I apologize, by the way. I keep bumping the screen. But yeah, that's just my take on it. This series goes 6 games. The next game for this series is scheduled for tomorrow at 7:00. So I'll have more of a preview for that game once tomorrow rolls around for tomorrow's podcast. But I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, I'm going to go switch gears back over to Russell Westbrook, back to the Denver Nuggets, because I did mention Russell Westbrook went into LA and took out his former team in the Clippers. He's going to have to do that. He's going to have to do a similar. He has a similar task in front of him. But this time it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that he built his Hall of Fame resume with, a team that he's beloved in, a place that he's beloved. It's going to be interesting to see how Russell Westbrook's able to handle everything. And Russell Westbrook is going to have to go through a fan favorite of his, a team that loves him, a team that he loves. He's going to have to go through him if he wants to win an NBA championship. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at Russell Westbrook going up against a team that he has a long, extended history with, a team that he's beloved in, a place where he's beloved. And quick recap, to go from taking out the Los Angeles Clippers, a fan favorite, a former team of his, to now against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's going to be two rivals, two former teams. And this is the road that Russell Westbrook has to go through to get to the conference finals and eventually to the NBA finals, if possible. But yeah, we all know Russell Westbrook is going to go down as one of the best point guards in NBA history. The triple-double king has just passed up Oscar Robertson for most triple-doubles in NBA history in an NBA season with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And now he has to go up against that former team. To preview this series, I didn't talk about it in the last segment when I was recapping the Clippers and the Nuggets. I said I was going to. I'll recap it now. A big part of what the Nuggets did to the Clippers, a big reason why they won this series, was because of their rebounding. When you have at least two guys, whether it was Christian Braun going off for 11 rebounds with Jokic's 10. Jokic was always the number one. You could lock him in for 10 rebounds a game against the Los Angeles Clippers. But you have a Christian Braun go off for 11 rebounds. You have Michael Porter Jr. go off for 15 rebounds in Game 3. You have Aaron Gordon being able to go off for double-digit rebounds. When you have a Nuggets squad that's able to, when you have multiple guys that can get multiple double-digit rebounds for you, over a course of 7 games, you're probably not going to win that series. Or you're probably not going to beat that team that's able to do that. That's just how good, that was the level that the Denver Nuggets were playing at yesterday, or that whole series. Now the question is, are they going to be able to replicate that against a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder? They do have Chet Holmgren over there. They do have Isaiah Hartenstein. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Oklahoma City Thunder decide to go with that double big lineup with both of those guys on the floor together. I think this series comes down to the shot making of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be, as much as I love Jokic, as much as I love Jamal Murray, as good as I think this Denver Nuggets team is, and as good as I think they can be, I don't know if I could take them ahead of a healthy. I don't know if I could take them ahead of a healthy Oklahoma City Thunder team. I think the defense of the Thunder is going to be too much for the Nuggets to handle. I think Jokic is going to play bully ball against Chet. But when it comes down to offense, when it comes to the game slowing down, when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is able to dictate his own pace with Jalen Williams on the side, with Alex Caruso playing phenomenal defense, with the role players that they have in Oklahoma City. As much as I love the experience of the Nuggets, and the Nuggets, I'm not discounting the Nuggets. This is still a playoff preview, and anything can happen once Game 1 starts. It might be similar to what I said with the rebounding of the Nuggets against this Clippers squad. I didn't think that was going to be a big deal. I thought Zubats and I thought the Clippers would be able to handle it, but they were not able to handle that. It's going to be interesting to see if the Thunder are able to handle it, if that same disparity happens there. What I'm saying is, on paper, when I'm previewing this on paper, both defenses are alike. Both teams are very much alike. Both teams have different strengths, I'd say. I'd say the rebounding of the Denver Nuggets is better than the Thunder. I think the Thunder's defense and all-around play is better. All-around play is better than the Nuggets. But I do think this series goes to the Thunder in 7 games. I think this is going to be an absolute battle, a war of a series. Both teams are going to go at it. I would not be shocked if we see the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 50 bomb in this burger. Why did I say 50 bomb in this game? 50 bomb. I always say 50 bomb, 50 burger, 50 piece, something like that. 50-point game. It's another way of saying a 50-point game. But I would not be shocked if we see a 50-point game from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this series. I would not be shocked if we see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander take over this series in not once, not twice, multiple times this series. And I think the Thunder take this one. I really do. I think the Thunder advance to the conference finals in 7 games. And as much as I think Russell Westbrook could have an impact in this series, but I think I don't think the Thunder are going to pass up on his 3-point shooting like the Clippers did, leaving him open. I think the Thunder are going to cause havoc. I think they're going to play zone defense and shut down Russell Westbrook's facilitating play. They're going to have somebody else beat them on the second unit. And I think the depth of the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to be too much for the Nuggets to handle. That's just my take. But, of course, this is Russell Westbrook going up against his former team, going up against a place that he's beloved, going to a place that he loves. He grew his NBA career there. He had some of his best moments are with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how Oklahoma City reacts in game 1. How are they going to react when Russell Westbrook comes back to town? Are they going to boo him? Probably going to boo him. Some of them are going to boo him, but I don't think they're going to boo him, though. I think they're going to boo the Nuggets because, of course, you're rooting for the Thunder. But I don't think... How much do you really hate Russell Westbrook? Russell Westbrook was a warrior for you guys. He was a flag bearer, wore your guys' brand on his sleeve, wore the Thunder grit on his... He was one of the best players. He embodied the Oklahoma City Thunder while he played there. And he still does, I'd say. He still plays with that tenacity, that type of... He's just an energizer bunny. And he has that... He plays with that skill, with that type of play. He's that type of player. He continues to play like that. Even now. Even years since leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder. So... I think Oklahoma City will still hold a special place for him. I think Russell Westbrook has a special place in Oklahoma City. But how is it all going to shake out? I think I have to roll with the Thunder winning this series in 7 games just because of the offensive consistency, and the play of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander carrying the offense is going to be too much for the Nuggets to handle as this series draws on. That's my take on it. And yeah, I think that I don't know how else this is good. On paper, that's how I would shake this. That's how I could see this series shake out. But I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next for our last segment of the show, we're going to take a look at the New York Knicks going up against the Boston Celtics. That game 1 of that series kicking off later tonight, and that is going to be... I don't know. I don't want to be too biased in this one because I am a Celtics fan, but when you have a team that's blown you out by 20 plus points multiple times in a series, when you have the level of play from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going up against Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, it's still a star-studded series. Do not get me wrong. But we'll talk a little bit about it in the next segment. But I think the Boston Celtics have some places they can take advantage of in this series. I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that series. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into the last segment of our show here, we're going to talk a little bit about the New York Knicks going up against the Boston Celtics later tonight, and what will be, honestly, this will still be a great series. This will be a test for both teams. It'll test the how much adversity can the Knicks, how much can the Knicks take and be able to, how will the Knicks respond to the Boston Celtics in this series? That's how it's going to come down to. How are they going to defend Jason Tatum? How is Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby going to defend Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? How is Mikal Bridges going to be able to carry? Is he going to have to carry the offense? Will Karl-Anthony Towns step up to the plate? Will Mikal Bridges step up as an offensive player? Will Josh Hart continue to play as a utility guy? One of those guys you pull out of the toolbox, plug him into the starting lineup. Will he be able to play for this New York Knicks team? How will Jalen Brunson's ankle be an issue for this New York Knicks squad? There are a lot of question marks, and I'll try to tackle some of them, but a lot of these are going to have to be in-game play. A lot of these will be answered after game one, and a lot of these I'll probably have a better answer for you tomorrow when we recap this game. This is going to be a phenomenal series. This is going to be a series between talent versus grit versus grind, a young group that's been together, a young core group with the Boston Celtics who's been together for the last 7-8 years, a group in New York that's been together for the last 3 to 4 years that has continued to grow with one another, with Tom Thibodeau at the helm, who's been there for the last 4 years or so, since 2021, I believe it was 2021 when they hired Thibodeau. Yeah, I'd say how do I answer this? Don't crucify me in the comments. First and foremost, do not kill me in the comments, please. But I have to roll with the Boston Celtics in this one. I think it's a lot of people would side with it. I'd say Celtics win this series in 5 games. But if we're going to talk about keys to the game, Jalen Brunson's ankle is going to be an issue in this one. I don't think they're going to target it like the Houston Rockets targeted Steph Curry on the pick and roll, but I think with Drew Holiday's defense, Drew Holiday's going to be matched up on Brunson. I have no doubt in my mind about that. How is Porzingis and Karl-Anthony Towns matchup going to be in the low post? That's going to be interesting to see. I think Porzingis' offense is going to be better than Cat's. I think Cat's offense is going to be better than Porzingis' defense. So it's going to be a war in the low post. I think that's probably going to be the most intriguing matchup in there. If we're on paper, X factors of this one for the Celtics, definitely going to be the play of Derek White down the stretch. Going to be the play of Jaylen Brown. He has had some knee injections, so it's going to be interesting to see how that knee responds. But the Celtics team has had a lot of time off. Another thing, Jason Tatum's wrist, is that going to play a role in this series? Are the Knicks going to target his wrist because it's his shooting wrist? Are they going to target it like the Rockets targeted Steph Curry's hand in a similar way? I could see that. Not saying it's going to be dirty, but it's the NBA playoffs. You're just trying to get an edge on the other guy, not trying to hurt him, but just trying to make him uncomfortable. Try and hit that wrist. I believe it was Jay Williams that brought up this point on ESPN. When you're shooting the ball, you can always shoot the ball, and it's always a foul if you clap hands with the defender after the shot goes up, or if you hit the hand of the shooter with the ball still in his hand. But there is no rule that after the ball releases, after a couple seconds, if you hit his hand, there's no rule that is a foul. I probably described that really wrong, really badly, but stay with me. That is what the Houston Rockets were doing to Steph Curry. Pick and rolls, hitting that hand. Defensive plays, hitting that hand. Even when Steph Curry's trying to get a reach in, trying to steal the ball, trying to reach in to steal the ball from the offensive player, that was probably incredibly uncomfortable for Steph Curry. There are little things that teams do against you that you wouldn't really call dirty, but you could absolutely call them strategic. It's a competitive game, and players are going to do that. And I would not be shocked if the Knicks did that to Jason Tatum once again. Tatum will have a brace on. He will do his best to protect that wrist, but it's the NBA. It's a high-level playoff basketball. Two teams that are going to be incredibly physical with one another. Two teams that have a long history with one another. Obviously, Porzingis being drafted by the New York Knicks. Jason Tatum loves playing against the Knicks because he always gives them the business, as I like to call it, but always takes it to them. Jaylen Brown loves to play against them. It's going to come down to the play of Jalen Brunson. It's going to come down to the offense of the New York Knicks, how they're going to be able to keep up with the Celtics offense. It's going to be about how the Knicks are able to defend the Celtics. Are they going to take a little bit out of the Orlando Magic's playbook, be physical with them, disrupt the three-point shooting as best as possible? And how are they going to be able to shoot? Because it's going to be a shoot-off. Both of these teams, the Celtics love to shoot the three. When you play the Celtics, you have to shoot a lot of threes, or else, like I like to call it, it's a math problem. 3 is better than 2. If you're shooting 2s and the other team is shooting and making 3s, the other team's going to win. They're scoring more points at a higher level, at a more consistent, if not comparable, consistent pace to you guys. So it's going to come down to that shot making of the Knicks. Come down to the ankle injury that Jalen Brunson's dealing with right now. Come down to the interior play of Karl-Anthony Towns. If he's able to also pitch into that shooting as well with the quote-unquote best shooting big man in basketball, with holding that title right now. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. I think the Celtics pull this off in 5 games on paper, 5 or 6 games max. I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is just going to be too much for the Knicks to deal with. As much as I say Jalen Brunson will have some takeover games, I probably, as a Celtics fan, I'm expecting the Jalen Brunson 40-point game. But who else is going to step up? Is Mikal Bridges going to step up? Is Karl-Anthony Towns going to step up? Is OG Anunoby going to step up? Somebody has to step up for this Knicks team to continue to help Jalen Brunson. Because this is not the Detroit Pistons. This is not... The Detroit Pistons may have had an incredible defense. And they gave you a hard time on the offensive end of the ball. But this is not the offense that the Pistons had. This is not an inconsistent offense. This is not an inexperienced offense. This is not a team that is had an 9-game home playoff game losing streak. This is an NBA team that just went to the NBA Finals last year, that has continued to hold the same group of guys with Horford, Tatum, Brown for the last 7-8 years, added Drew Holiday 2 years ago with Porzingis, added Derek White 3 years ago. They're continuing to grow around one another. Peyton Pritchard is a homegrown talent. Sam Hauser is homegrown talent. This Joe Mazzulla is an incredible coach. How are the New York Knicks going to respond to it? How are they going to be able to keep up with the Celtics team? That is what it's going to come down to. Is Brunson's ankle going to play a role? Is Tatum's wrist going to play a role? Is Jaylen Brown's knee going to play a role? Game 1 is later tonight at 7 o'clock. Hopefully some of these answers some of these questions get answered. And yeah, I'll absolutely recap Game 1 of this series in tomorrow's show, because this is going to be a premier series. This is going to, as much as I say the Celtics are going to bully the Knicks in this series, they're still one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They still hold the title. They've been consistent in the Eastern Conference for the last 4 years or so. So they deserve the respect that they have. And even though they're going up against the NBA champion Boston Celtics, they're still going to be tough to beat. So, yeah, that's just my take on it, and that'll probably be that for that one. But let me know what you guys think about everything that I've had to say, all 5 segments. I'm all ears. Let me know your takes in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions for me to answer, and I can answer any questions that you guys have at the end of the show right now, or leave them in the comments and I'll answer them in tomorrow's show. Maybe I'll base a segment around one of your questions. You guys are, like I've said, you guys are a big part of what we do here at the GSMC Sports Network, and your input is always valued, always appreciated. So, yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts, what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon and beyond. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe and leave a review. It does make a difference more than you guys think, like I mentioned. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you guys once again for another unbelievable show. The first round of the NBA playoffs is in the books. The second round kicked off last night. 2 more series kicking off tonight between the Celtics, Knicks, Nuggets, Thunder. Both series, at least especially the Nuggets Thunder, is going to be exceptional. Both series are going to be incredible. 4 teams that are all star-studded. And I cannot wait for this because the NBA playoffs continue to gift us incredible matchup after incredible matchup. And this is going to continue with that. Thank you guys once again. This is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast signing off. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.